If you ever hear a whistle in the dark, don't follow it. Don't even breathe. I wish someone had told me that before. Maybe then I wouldn't be sitting here, staring at a wall that won't stop humming with the faintest echo of it, like it's learned how to live in the spaces between sound. This isn't a ghost story. It isn't an urban legend, no matter what you've heard online. It's not some campfire tale to scare kids into staying indoors. What I'm about to tell you is real. Too real. And if you're watching this or reading it, or however this finds you, maybe you've already heard it. Maybe you just don't recognize it yet. That's how it begins, with a sound you can't quite place. A whistle that doesn't belong to anyone. I used to think it was harmless. The first time I brushed it off like wind through a cracked window. But the thing about this game, the thing nobody warns you about, is that the whistle wants you to notice it. That's the bait. And once you do, it never really lets you go. I'm not exaggerating. I've seen people laugh at it, mock it, treat it like nothing. I've seen them turn their heads, curious, and take just a single step toward the sound. Some of them didn't come back. Others came back wrong. You think I'm being dramatic? I hope so. I hope you shut this off right now and walk away. Pretend you never heard me. Pretend you never read this. Because if you don't, if you keep listening, then you've already made the first mistake we all did. You're curious. You want to know what it is, what it means, what happens if you answer. And that curiosity is exactly how it spreads. See, I didn't go looking for it. I wasn't one of those idiots who tries Bloody Mary in the mirror or plays Ouija in an abandoned house. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. It found me, and once it finds you, you don't get to decide whether you play. You're already in. I'll tell you everything. What happened to me? What happened to the others? The rules nobody wrote down until it was too late. But before I start, remember this. There's no safe way to play. Not really. And if you hear a whistle tonight, faint and sharp in the dark, ask yourself, are you sure it isn't calling for you? Because once you notice it, it notices you back. Asterisk, before everything unraveled, life was painfully ordinary. I grew up in a town that barely had its own zip code, one of those places where everyone knows your parents. Your teachers double as your neighbors, and Friday night entertainment usually meant loitering in the gas station parking lot. I had my Circle Sam, who thought sarcasm was a personality. Eric, the type who never shut up about girls he definitely wasn't dating. And Mia, the only one of us who seemed smarter than our town deserved. We weren't misfits, exactly, just restless. Stuck kids in a stuck place. Our nights followed a pattern. Cheap energy drinks, endless complaints about how there was nothing to do, and dumb games to pass the time. Truth or dare. Stupid dares in the grocery store. Sometimes we'd sneak onto the football field and pretend we were making history. Even though we couldn't get 10 people to come watch. It was harmless, mostly. Safe in that boring, suffocating way. At least it felt that way until the night Eric brought up the whistle game. We were sitting on the hood of Sam's beat-up sedan, half-empty cans clinking on the metal, the night air cool enough that our breath fogged a little. You guys ever hear about it? Eric asked, like he'd been waiting for the perfect moment. Mia rolled her eyes. If this is about the Goatman again, I'm leaving. No, I'm serious this time, he insisted, grinning. It's called the whistle game. My cousin swears some kids played it out in Pine Hollow, and let me guess, Sam interrupted. They all died. Tragic, truly original. Not all of them, Eric said. His grin faltered just enough for me to notice. But the ones who did come back, they weren't right. My cousin said one of them won't go outside after dark anymore. Another just disappeared a few months later. Like gone, man. Nobody ever found him. Mia snorted, trying to cover her unease. So what's the game? You whistle, and a monster whistles back? That's it? Pretty much, Eric said. Except you're supposed to follow it. But only if it answers. That's how you know you're really playing. Sam tapped his can against the hood, smirking. Wow, riveting. I'll stick to Fortnite. But I remember the way the conversation lingered after, even as we tried to joke it off. It planted something in the air like static, invisible but sharp. I laughed. I teased. I tried to brush it off like the rest of them. But later that night, lying in bed, I caught myself listening to the silence, wondering if I'd hear it. That was the thing about our town. Stories like that had a way of sticking. Maybe it was boredom. Maybe it was the woods that surrounded us, always too dark, too quiet. But once you heard about the whistle game, you couldn't help but wonder if it was waiting out there, tucked between the trees. Looking back, I realize how innocent it all felt then. A stupid story, a dare waiting to happen. None of us thought we were actually risking anything. None of us believed something could be watching, but not everyone who played made it back. And the ones who did, they carried the sound with them. We just didn't know it yet. Asterisk, the first time we played, it didn't feel like danger. It felt like a dare. It was Eric's idea, of course. He showed up at Sam's place with this cheap plastic whistle he'd bought from the dollar store, dangling it from his fingers like it was Excalibur. Tonight's the night, he said, grinning too wide. Mia groaned. You're unbelievable. That's your sacred haunted relic? 2 for $1 in aisle 6? Breek shrugged. Doesn't matter what it looks like. The rules don't care. He said it with just enough seriousness that I remember glancing at him twice. And maybe that was the beginning, the moment the story stopped being a joke and started being something heavier, something with edges sharp enough to cut. We drove out past the edge of town, down a road that led into the woods. Pine Hollow. I don't know why scary things always seem to happen in the woods, but there's a reason people don't build houses there. Too many shadows. Too much silence. We parked in a dirt clearing and sat in the car for a while, headlights off, arguing over who had to go first. The trees pressed in close, branches rattling like dry bones against each other. Finally, Eric cleared his throat. All right, so here's how it works. I can still hear his voice like he was reciting a ritual he only half understood. Rule 1. You blow the whistle once, then wait. Total silence. No talking, no moving. Rule 2. If you hear it echo back, you have to follow. Rule 3. Never whistle more than 3 times. Rule 4. If it ever calls your name, you don't answer. He said it like he'd memorized it. Like the words weren't even his. Sam chuckled nervously. That's it? Sounds like red light, green. Light for psychos. Mia muttered. Where'd you even get those rules? Eric hesitated. Cousin told me. Said he got it from someone else. Doesn't matter. They're the rules. He raised the whistle, and for a moment none of us breathed. Then he blew. The sound cut sharp through the trees shrill, too loud in the stillness. It hung in the air for a second before fading, swallowed by the night. We waited 10 seconds, nothing. 20 seconds. Still nothing. Sam let out a relieved laugh. Wow, spooky. Game over. Let's go get burgers. But then, somewhere deeper in the woods, faint and ragged, came the answering whistle. It wasn't the same. Ours was high and clean, a cheap piece of plastic. This one was lower, cracked, almost wet, like it was straining through broken lungs. We all froze. Mia whispered, "That was just an echo. Has to be." Eric's eyes were wide, but he tried to grin. "Echoes don't sound like that." Silence again, too much of it. The kind that makes you notice your heartbeat. The kind that makes you realize the woods aren't as empty as you thought. Sam shook his head. "I'm not going in there." "Number." "Chance." Eric nudged me. "Come on, you heard the rules. If it answers, you follow." I wanted to laugh it off. I really did. But something about that sound, it hooked into me. Wrong pitch, wrong rhythm. Not an echo. Not human, at least not anymore. We stood at the tree line, flashlights trembling in our hands. Eric took a single step forward. I caught his arm. "This is stupid," I said. "We don't even know what we're following." "Exactly," he whispered. "That's the point." And for a second I almost went with him. But then Sam shouted, too loud, too desperate, "Forget it. It's just a trick. Some creep messing with us. I'm leaving." The moment snapped. We piled back into the car, Eric sulking, Mia pale and silent, Sam trying too hard to make jokes. But none of us said what we were all thinking. That sound hadn't been a trick. It hadn't been a person, and the rules Eric gave us, they weren't the whole story. There were things he didn't say. Things you only learn once you've already started. Too late to turn back. Too late to unhear it. The first night should have been enough. We should have laughed, called it a prank, and left it there. But that's not how it works. Once you've heard the answer, you can't just unhear it. It stays with you, crawling under your skin, whispering that maybe you imagined it. Or worse, that you didn't. 2 nights later, Eric was the one pushing us back to Pine Hollow. "Come on," he said, jangling the whistle like keys. We were probably just spooking ourselves. "Let's prove it." Sam refused immediately. "You prove it. I'm not getting dragged into some Blair Witch bullshit. You heard that thing. It wasn't normal." Mia and I exchanged looks. She wanted to say no too. I could see it in her face. But Eric had this way of wearing you down, like the world was a dare, and you were a coward if you didn't play. And I'll admit it. Part of me wanted to hear it again. Curiosity is poison, and I was already sipping. That night, the woods felt heavier. No wind, no crickets, no distant highway noise. Just us, flashlights cutting narrow beams through the dark. Eric blew the whistle. The sound sliced the silence. We held our breath. This time the answer came almost immediately louder, clearer, closer. Not just a noise, but a call. Like it had been waiting for us. It wasn't an echo. Echoes don't bend. They don't slide from one pitch to another, like a voice stretching too far. Sam muttered, "Screw this," and turned back toward the car. He never played again, but the rest of us, We stayed. We listened. And when Eric whispered, "Follow me," we didn't stop him. We walked deeper into the trees, crunch of leaves underfoot, every step tightening a knot in my stomach. The whistle called again, off to the left this time, then behind us, then ahead. It moved like it wasn't bound by distance, like it was circling us, hurting us. Mia hissed. "It's just someone messing with us. It has to be." But her voice shook, and she didn't turn back. After 20 minutes, we ended up in a hollow where the trees bent together overhead, sealing us in. Eric raised the whistle again. I grabbed his wrist. "Don't." He smirked, though his face was pale. "Scared?" "Yes." I said, "You should be too." But he blew it anyway. This time the answer came from just beyond the tree line. Clear, crisp, almost playful. We froze. Mia whispered, "Someone's out there." But it didn't feel like someone. It felt like something that knew our names, even if it hadn't spoken them yet. We stood there, waiting, until the cold sank into our bones. Finally, Eric laughed nervously. "Fine, we proved it's real. Happy?" He shoved the whistle in his pocket and started back toward the car. None of us spoke the whole way home. The third night, I swore I wouldn't go back. I told myself I was done. But when my phone buzzed at midnight and Eric's text popped up, "One more round, Mia's coming. Don't be a coward," I found myself lacing my shoes anyway. This time, Sam wasn't with us. He wanted nothing to do with it. Smartest decision any of us made. The three of us stood at the clearing again, moonlight pale on the dirt. Eric blew the whistle. The answer came instantly, so close I felt it in my chest. It wasn't just sound, it was pressure, like the air itself leaned toward us. Mia's flashlight shook in her hand. "That's it. I'm done." But Eric was grinning, wide-eyed, manic. "Don't you get it? It wants us to follow." He stepped forward. I grabbed his sleeve. "Eric, stop. We don't know what's out there." He jerked free. "That's the point. We're gonna find out." And before I could stop him, he was gone, vanishing into the trees, chasing the whistle. "Mia!" shouted his name. The sound died and the branches swallowed. No answer came back, not from him, not from whatever was leading him deeper. We waited. 5 minutes, 10, 15, the whistle never blew again. Neither did he. Finally, Mia whispered, "We have to go." And I knew she was right. But every step back toward the car felt like betrayal, like leaving him behind. Even though some part of me understood he wasn't Eric anymore. Not really. I never saw him again, and I know where he went. But I'll never go there again. Asterisk, after Eric vanished, everything should have stopped. Any sane person would have walked away, buried the memory, and never looked back. But sanity doesn't hold much weight when curiosity is already rotting you. From the inside, Mia, and I didn't speak for a few days after that night. We didn't need to silence, said enough, but silence also made room for thoughts. And thoughts are dangerous when they circle the same wound, It was Mia who broke first. She showed up at my house late, hood pulled low, eyes darting like she'd been followed. "There's something I didn't tell you," she whispered. I let her in, heart pounding, because I already knew this wasn't going to be good. "My brother played it," she said once we were safe in my room. Her voice shook like she'd been holding the words too long. "Years ago, he was 17. My parents told everyone he ran away, but I know that's not true. He played the whistle game with some friends. He never came back. She swallowed hard. But before he disappeared, he wrote some of it down. Notes, rules, things he'd heard. I found them hidden in his desk after he was gone. She pulled out a folded piece of paper, creased and yellowed. The handwriting was jagged, frantic. I remember my skin crawling as I read the hidden rule. Never blow the whistle more than 3 times in your life. Each call is an invitation. The more you use it, the closer it gets. And another, if it calls your name, you can't answer not even a whisper, not even a thought that feels like speaking. Because the moment you do, it knows where you are. I stared at her, numb. Eric blew it 3 times already. Mia nodded. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. That's why it took him. The weight of it pressed down like lead. We hadn't just broken the rules. We'd walked straight into them blind, like rats in a maze. I wanted to believe we could stop. That if we never touched the whistle again, if we stayed quiet, we'd be safe. But even then, I knew it wasn't that simple. Because once you start, it doesn't forget you. Later that night, after Mia left, I sat staring at the paper in my hands. I kept thinking about Eric, about her brother, about the whistle twisting through the trees. I thought about the rules and how they read less like warnings and more like traps. Like someone or something wanted you to break them. That's when I started looking online. Forums, creepypasta threads, half-dead blogs from a decade ago. At first it was scattered people joking, others brushing it off as an old campfire story. But buried deep, there were patterns. Posts that matched our experience too closely to be coincidence. Only 3 times. Never answer if it knows your name. Never play alone. But there were hints at others, darker ones. Warnings that didn't make sense. Fragments left behind by people who never posted again. Things like, don't look at the tree line when it goes quiet. Or never write the rules down where it can see. What did that mean? Who or what was the it they were afraid of? I couldn't shake the feeling there were rules even older than the ones we'd broken. Rules nobody dared to write in full, because maybe just writing them down was enough to invite it closer. Worst part? By searching, by reading, by sharing this with you now. I've already broken one of them. After we found the paper with the hidden rules, I thought knowing would help. Knowledge is supposed to be power, right? But knowledge was just gasoline, and the whistle was already burning its way into every corner of our lives. It didn't stay in the woods anymore. The first time it followed me home, I was half asleep, the glow of my alarm clock bleeding red numbers across the ceiling. Then came that sound, faint, sharp, cutting through the stillness. A single whistle, drawn out, curling, against my window like a finger beckoning me outside. I told myself it was a dream. I told myself it was the wind. But when I pulled the curtains just enough to peek out, there was no wind, no movement. Just the outline of trees in the distance, standing too still, too watchful. After that it came in waves. Some nights it echoed in the distance. Other nights it pressed close, as if lips hovered just inches from my ear. And worse than hearing it awake was hearing it in sleep. Dreams where the whistle threaded through every scene school hallways, my kitchen, the mirror in my bathroom. Sometimes it would come from behind me, sometimes from inside me. I stopped sleeping. Mia wasn't doing better. She texted me at 3 a.m. once, just one sentence. It whistled my name. I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. At school, everything looked normal. Teachers droned on about math formulas. Kids argued in the cafeteria about football scores. But the whistle blurred the edges of reality. I'd be walking down the hallway and swear I saw someone ahead of me, just out of focus, tall and bent wrong, then blink, and they'd be gone. Sometimes I caught Mia staring off into nothing, lips moving like she was whispering to someone who wasn't there. When I pressed her, she snapped. "You don't hear it right now? You don't hear what it's saying?" But I did. And the worst part was I couldn't make out the words, like they were just beyond human language, sliding in shapes our ears weren't built for. The first death happened on a Sunday afternoon. Sam, the one who swore he was out, the one who said he'd never play again. I was driving back from the store when I saw the crowd on Main Street, flashing lights, people screaming. His car was parked haphazardly at the curb, door wide open, and his bodyguard, his body, was crumpled against the asphalt, limbs bent in angles that didn't make sense. They said he wandered into traffic like he didn't even see the truck coming, but I know better. I know the sound that must have drawn him, sweet and sharp, pulling him forward with invisible strings. He hadn't escaped. None of us would after. Sam, things unraveled fast. Mia stopped coming to school. I went to her house once, knocked on her door. Her mom answered, pale and frantic, whispering, "She won't come out of her room. She won't eat. She says it's in there with her." I forced my way in. The smell hit me first metallic, sharp, like rust and blood. The room was dark, blinds drawn, but I could see Mia hunched in the corner, arms wrapped around her knees. When she lifted her face, I almost screamed. Her lips were split and raw, like she'd been biting them until they bled. Her eyes darted everywhere but me, tracking something I couldn't see. "It keeps whistling," she whispered. "Even when I plug my ears, even when I scream." I crossed the room, grabbed her shoulders. "We can stop this. We just have to." The closet door rattled, once, twice, then silence. I turned, heart in my throat. The knob twisted. Just a fraction. Slowly, Mia whimpered. "Don't open it, please." I didn't. I swear I didn't. But the door creaked anyway, as if something on the other side had been waiting. The smell thickened, choking, and I knew we weren't alone. I ran. I left her there. When I came back the next morning, her room was locked from the inside. No answer. Cops had to break the door down. What they found, I still can't write all of it. Not because I'm protecting you, but because I can't force my brain to hold on to the full picture. Her body was shredded in a way no human could manage, not with any tool I've ever seen. And yet the window was locked. The door was locked. No one got in. They ruled it self-inflicted. But I heard the whistle when they carried her out. High, lilting, like a tune someone plays when they're proud of their work. By then, I stopped. Pretending this was in my head. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't coincidence. It was hunting us. And the worst part? It didn't feel random. It felt patient, like it had all the time in the world. Like it wanted me to know I was next, because once you hear it, you're marked. Maybe you think you're safe, sitting there, listening to me tell this. But ask yourself, are you sure you've never heard it? That sharp note in the distance. That faint call when you thought you were alone. Don't be too quick to answer, because the moment you do, it'll know exactly where you are. Asterisk, I didn't choose the last game. It chose me. After Mia, after Sam, after all of them, I tried everything. Salt lines, prayer, burning the damn whistle we used the first night. But it didn't matter. The sound kept following me, closer every time, louder every time, and eventually I understood what it wanted. One more round. Alone, I told myself I'd go on my terms. If it needed me to play, then I'd twist the rules until they broke. Survival wasn't the goal anymore. Outsmarting it was. So I wrote my own rules. Do not whistle until after midnight. Do not stand still, keep moving. Do not follow the sound. Make it follow you. When it calls your name, answer with silence. And the last one, the one I never wrote down but burned into my mind. If you see it, don't admit it, because I already had once, and it nearly hollowed me out. The night I chose was moonless. Air heavy like the sky itself was holding its breath. I left my phone behind, grabbed a notebook and pen instead. That's what you're reading now, every word I scribbled while the game unfolded. A record, proof, maybe even a warning. I whistled once. The note hung in the dark too long, like the trees carried it between them. For a moment, silence. Then, faint, distant, the reply. It wasn't quite human. It never was. I started walking, not toward it, never toward it. Sideways, cutting across the woods, forcing it to move, to chase. The whistle came again, closer now, threaded with something wet, like lips peeling back too far over teeth. My pen scrawled across the page. It's behind me, 10 paces. Maybe less. I didn't look. Looking was permission. Seeing was surrender. The ground sucked at my shoes, mud thick with rot. Every branch seemed to claw at me, tugging, slowing me down. And all the while whistle, 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 closer, sharper, like a blade carving sound into my skull. I whistled back. Wrong move, because it didn't just answer, it harmonized. 2 notes, weaving, twining, like voices learning to sing together. I felt my throat clench, like something inside me wanted to join. I bit my tongue until blood filled my mouth. The taste anchored me. For a moment, time warped in those woods. I swear hours passed, but when I checked my watch, only 12 minutes had gone. The whistle threaded through seconds, stretching them, snapping them back. Sometimes it was far away. Sometimes it was in my ear. Once, I'm not sure if I imagined this, it came from inside my chest, and then it spoke. Not words, not exactly, but it bent the whistle into syllables, warping my name until it dripped like tar. Jai. That's when I almost broke. My pen tore through the paper, letters jagged. It knows me. It's wearing my name. I nearly answered. My lips parted, breath ready to slip into the night. But my rule stopped me. Silence was survival. The trees thinned, a clearing opened. Moonless sky above, blacker than anything. I staggered into it, gasping, shaking, and that's when I saw it. Not fully, not directly. Just enough. Tall, crooked. A shape you can't sketch because it doesn't stay still long enough. bent at angles that defied bone, shifting in time with the whistle. Every exhale, the sound spilled from slits where a mouth should be, and eyes, no, not eyes, holes, empty sockets that whistled air like flutes. When the wind touched them, it stepped forward. I wrote Rule 5. Don't admit it. Don't admit it. But my brain screamed, I see you. The thing tilted its head, almost tender, like it heard my thought. I started running. Branches tore my arms. My lungs burned. My heart hammered so loud it drowned out everything, except the whistle. Always the whistle. It didn't chase the way people do. It didn't pound footsteps. It slid, slipped, appearing ahead, then behind, then beside me. Sometimes the sound came from the treetops, sometimes from under the ground. Once, from inside my skull. I stopped writing for a while then. Couldn't. The pen shook too much. But I remember every second because every second was carved into me. When I finally collapsed, mud swallowing my knees, I heard it circling. The whistle was no longer music. It was inside-out screaming, pulled through a throat not built for sound. And layered beneath it, laughter, not loud, not manic, gentle, like a parent watching a child fail a test they'd already written the answers to. I don't know how long I lay there, refusing to open my eyes. My hand moved on its own, pen scratching. If I stop writing, you'll know it. Found me. That's not melodrama. That's not paranoia. That's the deal. Words are my tether. Stop and I'm gone. So I wrote. I wrote until dawn, until the birds started singing, breaking its hold. The whistle faded with the first light, retreating into the trees, into the spaces between things, but it didn't leave. It never leaves. That should have been the end. Survival. Escape. Except there isn't just one ending. Everyone knows the first. You follow it and you don't come back. The second, you resist, and it tears you apart from the inside. But there's a third. I found it in a forum post, buried 10 pages deep, words half corrupted, like even the internet didn't want to hold them. The third ending isn't spoken aloud, because speaking makes it real. It's not dying. It's not surviving. It's carrying. If you play too long, if you listen too closely, the whistle plants itself. It doesn't kill you right away. It waits. It grows until one night you're the one standing in the dark whistling back, and people like me, we don't escape. We become the game. So if you ever hear it high, sharp, slicing through silence, remember what I said. Don't follow. Don't breathe. But most of all, don't whistle back. Because if you do, maybe you'll become what I am now. And maybe I'm not just writing this. Maybe you're hearing it. Maybe without knowing it, you already joined. Whistle once and it'll hear you. Whistle twice and it'll find you. Whistle 3 times and I'll be waiting. Asterisk, I'm still here. That much is obvious. You're listening, reading, whatever this is. I made it far enough to tell the story. But don't mistake survival for freedom. The whistle didn't stop. It never does. Some nights it's faint, tucked under the hum of the fridge or the rattle of pipes. Other nights it's sharper, clearer, cutting through traffic or drifting across a crowded room where no one else reacts. I've heard it in airports, in libraries, even once in the middle of church. Always the same pitch, the same pull, like a string tied tight around my ribs. I thought it would fade with time. It hasn't. If anything, it's closer now, like it doesn't need the woods anymore, like it followed me home. You probably think I'm exaggerating, that maybe trauma warped my brain, that I'm just hearing phantom sounds. I wanted to believe that too. I begged for that explanation. But then I noticed the pattern. It's louder when someone else is near. At first, I thought it was coincidence. Then I realized, every time I tell the story, the whistle sharpens. Every word, every confession pulls it nearer. And when someone listens, when someone pays attention, that's when it spreads. I think that's the part none of us understood at first. The whistle isn't just a sound. It's a contagion. You don't play the game, you catch it. One person hears, then another, until the dark is full of echoes that don't belong. That's why I'm talking to you now. That's why you're part of this, because maybe you've already heard it. Maybe once, in the dead of night, you woke to that thin, high note outside your window. Or walking home, the street empty, and a whistle trailed you just out of sight. Maybe you brushed it off. Just wind, you thought. Just some kid. But what if it wasn't? What if it was already waiting? There's another rule no one likes to admit. I only found it whispered in half sentences on old forums, tucked into the margins of photocopied notes. The whistle doesn't leave until you pass it on. That's why people tell the story. That's why I'm telling you. I don't know if it's mercy or selfishness. Maybe both. But I can't carry it forever. And now, after everything I've said, it's listening to you too. If you hear it tonight outside your door, in the walls, in your dreams, you'll know it chose you. I should warn you, denial won't save you. Pretending you didn't hear, didn't read, doesn't make it less real. It already knows your name. It already marked the space you left just by being curious enough to make it this far. But maybe, just maybe, there's a way out. I've seen hints scattered in places where people vanish mid-post, mid-thread. They say interaction bends the rules, that if you speak back, if you write it down, if you leave something behind in return, it diverts the whistle's attention. Think of it like playing tag. You don't want to be it. You don't want to be the one holding it in silence. So, what do? You pass it on. Comment. Write. Tell your story if you've ever heard a whistle where no one should have been. Even if you haven't, especially if you haven't say something, share this with someone else. Push it outward, away from you. Because silence is how it gets you. I used to wonder if all of this was just cruel. A cycle with no escape. But cycles aren't cages, they're doors. And every door has two sides. That's why I'm leaving it here, with you. Not as an ending, as a handoff. You can carry it, or you can deflect it. Choice looks a lot like survival. When you don't have much else left. If you've ever heard a whistle in the dark, comment below. Tell me when. Tell me where. Don't leave the silence hanging. And if you haven't, don't get too comfortable, because the whistle doesn't need permission. It just needs someone to listen long enough. And you've already done that. So tonight, when the lights go out, when the house settles and the hum of the world fades, listen closely. If you hear it, faint and far, don't follow. Don't breathe. But most of all, don't whistle back, because if you do, you'll know it's not just my story anymore. It's yours, and the whistle never forgets.